Won millions from Publishers Clearinghouse by mailing in entries, but now there's another way.
Emergency room. They told us that that the cameraman who was killed last night has 2 young daughters and a wife in Ankara. We do not know if they have been informed of this. We have his with what Grady has been telling us throughout the night. It's very difficult watching his colleagues try to explain to us, other reporters, what had happened as he tried to tell the world what was happening here in Atlanta. Very difficult. We will be back to you live from Grady Hospital. I'm Sally Sears, Channel 2 Action News.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you very much. And right now, we have already here in the United States been investigating what happened to the TWA Flight 800. This morning, the Los Angeles Times is reporting the position of the underwater debris from TWA Flight 800, providing clues about the explosion that caused the disaster. The paper quotes an investigator saying the explosion ripped through the right side of the plane, rupturing the fuel tanks. Now, because of what happened with that airline, there has been heightened security ordered by the president at all airports across the country. Atlanta's Hartsfield International is one of them. And of course, with all the Olympic visitors coming in, there was already increased security there. Our Joyce Oscar is live now at Hartsfield International to tell us what the morning brings.
Well, officially, airport officials are saying that there haven't been any changes that passengers and visitors to the airport will see, but they clearly have beefed up things even more. How they could do that, I don't know, or what they've done, I'm really not sure at this point. All they are saying is that things are more so being beefed up than they had been even in the past. We have been talking to people who are just getting off planes headed for Olympic venues, and they are clearly shook, but saying that their plans to go to the venues will continue, and we do have some reaction from them.
You know, an event like this is something that's going to do something, so just can't worry about it.
Something that is sort of foolish and senseless, but I think that it's a safe city. Atlanta's always been a very safe city, and we have no problem being here.
I don't like to let those kind of things bother me. I don't want to redo my plans because some idiot decided to blow up something. I'd rather go on with what I was going to do.
And I am very concerned, and I'm worried. Yes, I am. And there should be more security, and there should be a National Guard. This is disgusting that this could happen in this country at this time when we should be shining instead of being blown up.
Airport officials also say that there are at this time no plans to go to level 4 security, which would be allowing only ticketed passengers in the gate. They say that is a possibility and that they are awaiting word from the federal government if that move is going to be made. But clearly there is tension here, and you've got to notice that the fact that this is a very public building, just like public Centennial Olympic Park, and there are places in the airport that are not with metal detectors and that type of security. But they said that they are making sweeps of the area. They have increased those, and we have seen police officials with dogs walking through the facility. So clearly there is some changes here, but we're not being told specifically what the changes are. We are live at Hartsfield Airport. Joyce Oscar, Channel 2 Action News.
Thanks for that perspective, Joyce.
Of course, we're all wondering how the athletes are taking this, and Jocelyn Dorsey, our public affairs director, has access to the athletes' village, and Jocelyn joins us now on the phone. What's the latest, Jocelyn?
John, many of the athletes were unaware of what had happened, and they really were waking up to the news as much of Atlanta was waking up to the news if they were not up the night before. There was an early morning meeting, a special meeting called with the chefs de mission, who are heads of the various Olympic teams in the village, and at that point they were all briefed about what was occurring. The briefing was very short. They were told that the games would continue as scheduled, the flags would be flying at half-staff, there would be a moment of silence in memory of the victims and their families before every event. The mood has become very tense here, especially regarding security. Earlier this morning, around 7 o'clock, I found that it was very easy to walk into the village with your credentials. About an hour later, I noticed that there were long lines because each bag is being inspected twice. It's going through X-ray and then inspected again. So security is extremely tight here at this point.
All right, Jocelyn, thank you for the update from the athletes' village.
No problem.
And now we go to the Satellite News Center where we have Mr. Brent Brown, who is a securities expert. Mr. Brown, from what you've heard so far in our reports, what do you surmise about the person who made this apparatus? What can you tell from just what you've heard?
I think it's very premature to second guess what the law enforcement are doing and putting together on the scene. I think that it's probably pretty apparent that it is a pipe bomb device based on the reports that we are hearing. It is actually premature to even make that assessment at this point. I think we need to point out one thing, that the training that took place prior to the games actually took a very critical role in this procedure, because the security officer that spotted this suspicious package took very appropriate action and probably saved a lot of lives by simply starting to clear the area. Unfortunately, it still detonated and quite a few people were hurt, and obviously 2 people killed at this point. So I think at this point what they have at the Olympic Park is a crime scene that is a very tedious crime scene for them to piece back together. So I really don't want to get ahead of them in their investigation. I would like to point out, though, that we are very comfortable with all the experts that they have in Atlanta. We're very fortunate at this point that they're not going to have to fly in a lot of experts from all over the country because they're already here.
Well, what could you tell us about the size of a bomb that would do this kind of damage?
Well, the size of bombs, what we actually predicted was a possibility in a populated area was exactly what you saw. It was in a knapsack or something probably no bigger than a briefcase. Depends on who made it, how technical they are as to what type of explosion we saw. However, I think from the videotape that is quite extraordinary that we did see, that anyone can tell you that this exploded with tremendous detonation, and in a populated area. It's only amazing that more people weren't killed than what we already have seen.
Why has no one, do you think, taken responsibility?
I think it's probably premature for that also. I think that we're fast and furious trying to figure out what exactly happened. I think our main objective right now, I know with our firm, is protecting the properties and the people that we're responsible for. And I think that takes a priority. And the fact is that the calls could have already come in to federal officials for people claiming the responsibility for this. So it's really hard to say that they've not received that. And frankly, I don't think it's very appropriate for them to comment on that if they've received that information at this point.
You see the live pictures there. What are the kinds of things they're going through right now? What are they doing? What would you be doing if you were there?
Well, we went through tremendous amounts of planning. The projects that we were involved in, which is a large portion of the Atlanta skyline, we started planning years ago. The planning increased dramatically after the Oklahoma bombing. And then January 1 of this year, it increased twofold again. What you're seeing simply is a continuation of that. Although this was an incident that in effect took people off guard, it's also something that was planned for. And you're simply seeing plans put in motion. And planning continues on a minute-by-minute basis. And that's part of the planning process, that you simply are available to assess the situation, assess what you've got to move into, and move forward without a panic mode. And I think what you've seen here is that no one has really panicked over this, that they have simply put things in motion like they expected, and they're moving forward. Very technical, and that's what you've been witnessing this morning.
Mr. Brown, John Pruitt has a question.
Could you address, Mr. Brown, the difficulty of containing this sort of thing from happening in an area like Centennial Olympic Park?
It's very difficult. I think that the city of Atlanta has done a lot of very good work with all the agencies and private firms such as ours and everyone involved by putting together a safe Olympics. And I think that this could have been a far more tragic situation. What we need to make sure that we do, however, is take from here on in to the end of the games very tedious and with everyone's patience Everyone that attends the events, everyone that speculates on what's occurred, please be patient with the authorities. Please be patient with all the private firms that are involved trying to keep you safe. And the bottom line here is that anytime you have a populated area such as a park type setting or a mall or anything like this, or even the streets of Atlanta, it is more difficult to secure. But I think that we have provided a good, safe, and secure environment, and I think what you're seeing the authorities is going to make it that much more safe for the people wanting to attend the other events. So, you know, we just got to take this as it comes and say that, you know, it's a very tragic situation, but let's don't panic. Let's keep our heads about this, and let's put in motion what we've been planning for the last several years.
Mr. Brown, I know you're not a seer and you can't tell what the future is, but because you are an expert, you know the likelihood of lightning striking twice. What is the likelihood something like this would happen again during the game?
Well, I would hate to be the one to predict that this could happen again. However, I think that we all have to be extremely cautious and expect that it could happen again. And by that, what I want you to understand, however, is that if everyone takes the time out in reviewing all these newscasts that they're seeing this morning and sorting through all this, that they are part of the security solution. In other words, if you have 30,000 people in Atlanta that are simply responsible for security and providing security and safety throughout all the city, if you take an additional 1 million people that live here, that we take 30 minutes or an hour or even the next few hours and they start learning how to make their city more secure. And by doing that, what I'm saying is they can be the ones to help us look for suspicious items. Anything that looks unusual, they need to dial 911 or tap a police officer on the shoulder or a security officer and say, it may not be anything, but I think you need to look into this. And if we have those 1 million people doing that, then we're going to have 1,030,000 people involved in keeping Atlanta safe and secure. And that doesn't need to stop in Atlanta. We need to continue this in the United States to keep our country safe and to keep America, America. Everyone needs to take a moment and say, you know what, I've got to protect myself, and how can I do that? And I think if you listen to what people are saying, the experts, folks at our firm, folks with the authorities of Atlanta, they are telling you ways that you can actually participate in your own security.
Mr. Brent Brown, thank you very much. And it's worth mentioning that the officers who came to the location of the bomb site came there at first because there was a problem. There were some problems there. And then one of them actually noticed the bag and started moving people out of the way. An NBC photographer then said he shot a picture of the bag, but you're right. How long had that bag been sitting there? And if it had not been for the officers coming over to quell a disturbance, no telling how many more people would have been injured. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Certainly one of the most popular Olympic athletes is Janet Evans, who medaled in 2 previous Olympics and was not that fortunate this time, but certainly was a popular figure at the Olympic Games. She happened to be in Centennial Olympic Park early this morning when the blast occurred. She was interviewed a short time